So we'll do a few more of these formulas, solving them for a different variable than they were already solved for. All right. And again, that's the key thing that you really want to notice here is these formulas are right now, they're already solved for one variable. So what we're doing is we're trying to change around the formula to solve them for a different variable. All right. We're not evaluating them here. That's another thing that we could do. We're just solving them from a new variable. All right, so this one here with the a equals parenthesis a plus b times h divided by 2, that's a little bit more complicated. So maybe save that one for the end, and we'll look at these two first. All right, so a equals p plus prt, solve for r. Okay, well what that formula is that's the simple interest formula. Right, the amount that you have is what you started with plus what you started with times the rate times the time. All right, and again, note that I could solve this for p, r, or t because there's three other variables that I'd be able to solve for. So in this case, they're asking me to solve for r, so I'm solving for the r. So what I got to do is I got to get rid of this p that's here out front, and then I got to get rid of that other p and that other t. So since the p out front is not attached to the variable I'm solving for, I'll want to get rid of that one first. So that p, you can just think of it as being added. So to get rid of it, I would just subtract it. So I'd subtract p here on both sides. On the right side again, cancellation. But what's a minus p? Again, a minus p, they're not like terms, so you're just going to write a minus p. And then on the right side, we're left with p r t. But again, keep in mind I'm solving for r, so I got to get rid of the p and the t that are being multiplied by the r. So to get rid of those, I'll just divide by them. And again, do it on both sides. So on the right, I'm left with what I want, which is just r by itself. And on the left, I now have a minus p over pt. So now it's solved for r, right? But again, I could have also solved it for t. I could have also solved it for p. Honestly, in this class, we won't be asked to solve it for p because it's a little bit more complicated to solve for p, but it can be done. But I could have also asked you to solve for t. Okay, and then this last one here, y equals mx plus b, solve for x. Well, you probably recognize that as the slope-intercept equation of a line, which we will get into later this unit. So we're asked to solve for the x, right? But again, you could have solved for m or b also, right? Right now it's solved for y, and we're going to solve it for x. But we could also solve it for m or for b. So to solve for x, similar to the last one, that b there is not tied to the x. So we can get rid of that b first by subtracting it from both sides. So on the right it cancels. And on the left we just have y minus b. And on the right we have mx. But again, we're solving for x. So we got to get rid of the m, which is being multiplied. So to get rid of it, we divide. So on the right it cancels, and on the left nothing happens there, it just stays the way it is, y minus b divided by m, and that's our x value. So x equals y minus b over m. And if you want to, you can always rewrite these, because a lot of people are more comfortable having the variable that's solved for on the left, so you could just rewrite it as x equals y minus b over m. Okay, so now going back to that other one that we had skipped there, that other one, that's actually the area of a trapezoid formula. And this one is actually an option for, because you see you're trying to solve it for a, right? So it looks tricky right now because of the fact that that a is kind of locked up in that parenthesis there. So it's, you think to yourself, well, how am I going to get it out of that parenthesis? There is a way to do it in one step to get it out of the parenthesis. But we'll do this in two different methods, right? So the first thing that you'd probably want to do in this case is get rid of that 2. So that 2 is being divided, right? You're dividing by 2. So to get rid of that 2, you'd really want to just multiply both sides by 2. So now on the right, that makes it not a fraction anymore, right? So that makes it easier for us. So the 2's gone. So we have a plus b in parentheses times h equals 2a. Right? So now what you're probably tempted to do, and we'll do it, is distribute, right? This is really a distributing problem now. So you would distribute this h to the a and the b. So you'd end up having 2a equals ah plus bh. But now it made the problem a little bit more complicated because now again I'm trying to solve for a. So I'm going to want to get rid of this h and I'm going to get rid of that bh. Now that bh, again, similar to before, like with this 2w, wasn't attached to the thing I'm solving for. So get rid of it by subtracting bh. So 2a minus bh equals ah. And again, I'm solving for a, so I got to get rid of this h, which is being multiplied. So what I'll do is I'll just divide. And now I'm done. So h equals 2a minus bh over h. I'm sorry, it's not h equals, it's a equals. And it's good that I noticed that, because the reason I noticed it is you can't have an h on both sides, right? That little a is appearing by itself, and there's no little a over here, right? That's what it means to be solved for a in terms of the others, right? So this one is now solved for a in terms of capital A, B, and H. All right, and that's another thing that you actually should also recognize here is that A and that A are different, right? Lowercase a and capital A are not the same thing. So just keep that in mind. So that's your finalized form. A equals 2a minus bh over h. But again, this video is getting a little bit long, which isn't ideal. But the other way that I could have done that is at this step here, instead of distributing, right? Let's say I go back here. I'll just do this quick so that we don't make the video too long. Right? When I'm here, what I could have recognized is, well, that h is really just being multiplied by the whole thing. So what I could have done to get rid of it is divide by that h. So here now it's going to cancel out, and now my parenthesis is going to go away. So now I just have a plus b on the right side, and I have 2a over h on the left side. And then again, you're solving for a. So right now all I have to do to solve for a is just subtract b. And what would happen is I'd end up with a equals 2a over h minus b. And actually, it doesn't look like it, but this and this are actually equivalent. Now I won't show how they're equivalent, but it would involve just getting a common denominator. So either one of those answers actually would be acceptable in this case.